Okay, so we've looked at complex nouns when they're part of a fragment. So now let's look at complex nouns when they're part of a sentence.
All right.
Okay, so again, complex nouns behave just like normal nouns. So what roles can a normal noun play in is sentences?
Before is, after is.
Easy peasy, before is and after is. And then in an action sentence, what roles can a noun play?
Doer, receiver.
Doer and receiver, right? So complex nouns play these same roles in a sentence as well. Okay, so let's look at is sentences first. How do we recognize complex nouns, or what role the complex noun is playing? So in an is sentence, if the complex noun is acting as the before is, the way you recognize it is that it's the first word in an is sentence.
I guess that makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, is sentences are straightforward.
Yeah.
You have your two parts. So if it's before the is, it's
the before is.
The before is, right? Like this. Ma indallahi is the before is, and then here we have a break. Specific followed by general makes a break, right? So that tells us that everything here is the before is. And then take a wild guess as to how we recognize the after is.
It's after the first break.
It's after the first break, right?
Okay.
Because the after is what comes after the break, right? So you just find your break. Lillahi, is it TLDR?
It's noun.
And it's noun. And then there's no relationship between the word Allah and ma because it's specific noun. So break.
Okay.
Right? And so after the first break, you have your complex noun. And if it's after the break, it's the after is.
Okay.
It's straightforward. Ready for action sentences?
That's it. Like, I mean, okay.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah.
A better anticlimactic than more challenging stuff to learn.
I guess it's true.
Okay. So a complex noun, if you think about it, is actually a type of labelless word.
Okay.
Right? Because they play normal roles, but they don't change. They can't take labels.
Oh, yeah, I guess you don't have, like, alladhi.
You don't have, like alladhi or something like that. It's just always alladhi, right?
Okay.
So it's labelless. So the way we determine the role of a complex noun in the sentence is the same way we determine the role of a labelless word.
Okay.
And that's something we already did, right? So the rules will sound familiar as we go over them. Do you remember this, if you found one, you found the other?
Basically, if you know that, if you found a doer, that means the labelless word can only be the receiver.
Exactly.
And if you found your receiver, then the labelless word can only be the doer.
Exactly, right? So examples, أخذ الذين ظلموا الصيحة, right? الصيحة has a doer label. So that leaves the complex noun to play the role of receiver because we already have a doer, right? And then فلما جاءهم ما عرفوا كفروا به. Our complex noun is ما عرفوا. And then we have hum, right? Attached pronoun, attached to an action, playing the role of receiver. So the receiver role is taken. That leaves the role of doer, right?
Okay.
That leaves the role of doer for the complex noun.
Okay.
Right? So it's this we've done this kind of thing before, right? Another example here. أغرقنا الذين كذبوا بآياتنا. What can you tell me about أغرقنا?
It has embedded doer we.
It has the embedded doer we, which means we already found
Our doer,
right? So the role that's left for the complex noun is
receiver.
Right? You found one, you found the other. And then let's look at one more example here. بشر الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات. What kind of action is بشر?
Command pattern number 2, more than 3 plus E.
Good. This is a command, right? And commands, can you ever have an outside doer for a command?
Commands are always some form of you. So you, both of you, all of you.
Yeah, and it's always embedded in the action.
Yeah.
Right? So it's embedded, which means we found our doer. Right? So whenever you have a command, it means the doer is already embedded. And so the only role that's left for the complex noun is
receiver.
Right? So we've seen this kind of stuff before. If you found one, you found the other. Is that clear? Okay. And then a few more tips, right? In a passive, it's kind of a matter of semantics here, but if it's after a passive, it's going to be the subdoer.
Okay.
You'll label it as the subdoer instead of the doer.
Okay.
Right? So here we have lu'ina. That's a past passive. Ui. And it's coming right after a passive, so it's a subdoer.
Okay.
And then here's another tip for you. If you see it coming after qala, then it's almost always going to be the doer.
Okay.
Because qala means to say. And if you have something coming after qala, it's going to be someone said.
Okay.
Right? So the complex noun coming right after qala is going to be the doer.
Okay.
And then our last tip, which we always use and we always call upon, is common sense. Right? So if there's no clear indication, like in this example, مختلفة, right? You don't have an embedded doer here, or a clear embedded doer. You don't know for sure yet. You don't have an outside doer anywhere.
Nothing with the doer label.
Right, nothing with the doer label. Right, so it could go either way, right?
Okay.
This complex noun could potentially be either the doer or the receiver. And when that
Okay.
happens, we just translate and see what makes more sense.
Okay. So if we were to say that it's the doer, it translates as the ones who were given the book did not dispute. And if we were to do receiver, it would be he did not dispute the ones who were giving the book except after
Knowledge.
which doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. So you
Okay.
just use common sense in
Okay.
cases like that. So, any questions?
So I get how to find the roles and everything, but like kind of looking at these ayat, they're already labeled for me, and like the boundaries of the complex noun are already like so I can see how it comes together. But I'm thinking if I'm just given an ayah, like okay, how do I know that I've found like that I've put the capsule around the right thing?
That's a good question. So the way you determine the boundaries of a complex noun is the same way we find breaks between sentences.
Okay.
Right. So if you found a break, that determines the end of the complex noun. So the beginning of a complex noun is the complex noun word, like alladhi or alladhina. And then you just go and find relationships like we always do until you find a break. And once you find a break, that determines the end of the complex noun.
Okay. So I'm looking at something like أخذ الذين ظلموا الصيحة.
The first
So
one.
yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm looking at that. I'm like, oh, الذين is, start of the complex noun.
Okay.
And then ظلموا is obviously going to be connected to it.
Right.
And it's an action. And then I might think, okay, الصيحة could possibly be the doer
Of ظلموا.
ظلموا.
Well, there are two tricks you can use here. Well, first of all, ظلموا has a ending indicator.
Right.
So it already has a doer.
Okay.
And an action can only have one doer.
Okay.
And so you found your doer. It can't have another doer, so it ends there.
Okay.
And then a trick you can use as well is the sentence following the complex noun you have to be able to translate it on its own. Right?
What do you mean?
It has to make sense translated on its own. So for example, if we were to say, for example, okay, let's see, ظلموا الصيحة is its own sentence. Can we translate this as its own sentence?
They oppressed the loud blood. No.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense, right?
Okay, so one one way to know that I found the correct capsule is that we've had a lot of practice with sentence breaks.
Right,
so if I see like something that indicates a new sentence, like in the next one, arafu and kafaru, those are two actions.
Two actions, which there's always a break between two actions.
So knowing, like, one, being able to recognize my sentence breaks.
Right.
And then if I'm still not sure I did it right, I just look at the thing that's coming after.
Right, the thing that's coming after the complex noun.
And I should be able to translate it on its own, and it should make sense.
Yeah, it should make sense. So, for example, if you see this one, الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا, if we put this through the translation test, right, كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا should be able to translate and make sense on its own. And let's try. كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا would be...
They denied our signs.
Right, they denied our signs, which makes sense as its own standalone sentence.
So that checks off.
Right.
What about the next one? آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات. And like knowing that the sentence starter is not connected to...
Yeah, well, a sentence starter starts a new sentence.
Oh, that's true.
So that's a break over there. Okay. And then you can also put it through the sentence test, right? Does آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات make sense translated on its own?
So they believed and did good deeds that they have gardens. Okay.
No, yes.
Yeah, so it wouldn't make sense to continue.
It wouldn't make sense to continue, so those are your two tests. Knowing your sentence breaks, which we've had a lot of practice, finding breaks between sentences. And then when in doubt, just pull out the thing following the complex noun and see if it makes sense translated on its own. If it does, you found your boundaries correctly. If it doesn't, you've probably overextended the boundary.
All right.
Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.